think that's when he won the championship. So it was like, I guess my target is to be a world champion in Formula One. It's my career. I need to do the best I can for myself, be in a position to win a world championship.
Losing the championship because Lando came out, championship, supported Lando.
Pretty even, but I think Lando came in as a rookie, so he was kind of, and Lando was putting him under pressure, and they had a fantastic relationship.
As Lando Norris has gone off the road, the championship pendulum swings to the lead in Brazil.
You need speed to win in Formula One, but you need brains to win a championship. McLaren had the first part covered in 2024.
McLaren are world champions of 2024. They win the Constructors' title.
The second, not so much. From pit lane chaos to wheel heartbreak, McLaren managed to turn their best car in years into a season full of face palms.
To start the 24 season, where we kind of left off with the 23 season that we have at McLaren, it's very hardworking, which of course you.
Let's break down how they threw it all away. McLaren didn't just show up in 2024, they came in swinging. After a strong finish to 2023, expectations were sky high. The MCL38 looked quick, sharp and planted. Lando Norris had matured into a genuine title contender, and Oscar Piastri, ice cold under pressure and ready to prove he was more than just a rookie sensation. On paper, this was the team to watch. And right out of the gate, McLaren looked dangerous. In Bahrain, Norris and Piastri both finished strong, with the car showing real pace, especially in the corners. It wasn't a win, but it was enough to send a warning shot to Red Bull. McLaren was here to fight. Then came Jeddah. Norris was in the mix again, pushing the leaders, while Piastri showed flashes of brilliance that had everyone talking. The consistency was there, the speed was there, and the garage buzzing with confidence. By the time we hit Australia, things were clicking. Norris snagged a podium, and Piastri wasn't far behind. The car was evolving fast. McLaren had gone from a dark horse to serious threat in just a few races. People weren't asking if McLaren could win a race, they were asking when. For the first time in years, the team wasn't playing catch-up, they were setting the pace, calling the shots and taking the fight straight to Red Bull. But what looked like the start of a fairy tale, it didn't stay that way for too long. Because when the pressure ramped up, McLaren started folding hard. You can have the fastest car in the world, but if your strategy team's asleep at the wheel, good luck winning anything. McLaren's 2024 campaign hit its first real speed bump in Canada, and it was a big one. Lando Norris was in control, leading the race, looking calm, fast and unbeatable. Then, the safety car came out and McLaren panicked. While their rivals dove into the pits at exactly the right moment, McLaren hesitated. They left Norris out for one lap too many, and that's all it took. When he finally pitted, he had already lost track position. The overcut failed and the win slipped right through their fingers. What should have been 25 points turned into 18. It might not sound like much until you remember they lost the lead of the race without ever being passed on track. That's strategy malpractice. Silverstone, Norris's home race. The atmosphere was electric, the car was quick, and the win was on. But once again, McLaren's pit wall froze when it mattered most. Rain started falling, track conditions were changing fast, and instead of double stacking the pit stops, they botched the timing. Piastri stayed out too long. Norris came in too hot and overshot his box. Then came the tyre choice. Softs instead of mediums, a gamble they didn't pay off. Norris still crossed the line in third, but let's be honest, it felt like a loss.
Norris wants him to go round the outside, Verstappen goes round the outside, he couldn't defend against Max Verstappen, Norris has to concede, second place.
2 races, back to back, 2 golden opportunities thrown away by the very people meant to guide them to glory. McLaren's strategy team took a lot of heat in 2024, and rightly so. But let's be clear, not every wound was self-inflicted by the pit wall. Sometimes it was Lando Norris behind the wheel who let the championship slip through his fingers. Austria was the turning point. McLaren had the pace, the setup, and Norris was flying. He was in a fierce fight with Max Verstappen, going wheel to wheel like it was the final lap of the season. But in a moment where patience could have paid off, Norris pushed too hard. Contact, puncture, race over.
This time it's the outside line. Oh, they made contact. He's got a puncher. He's damaged his front wing. The leading contenders for the World Championship.
What made it worse, the incident was avoidable. Norris had the speed to attack later, but he went for it when the risk was highest. Instead of walking away with the possible win, he walked back to the garage with 0 points and a busted car. That was not just a missed opportunity, it was a championship level mistake. In Qatar, the car was fast, the conditions were tough, and Norris had another shot at big points. But then came the yellow flag infringement, a moment of carelessness that earned him a penalty.
It's a 10-second stop-go penalty for Lando Norris for failing to slow under yellow flags.
And it got worse. A stop-and-go penalty followed, dropping him like a rock down the order, from fighting near the front to barely clinging on to 10th. It was a brutal reminder that in Formula 1, you cannot afford mental lapses, not when every point matters. 2 races, 2 major errors. These were not strategy calls, these were driver decisions, and they cost McLaren big. Just when it looked like McLaren was spiraling, they pulled themselves back into the fight. The car was still fast, the drivers were still hungry, and for a few glorious weekends, everything finally clicked. This was the version of McLaren fans had been waiting for. Sharp strategy, perfect execution, and drivers delivering when it mattered most. Hungary was magic. Oscar Piastri drove like a veteran and brought home his first ever Formula 1 win.
Oscar Piastri wins for the first time in Formula 1.
It was a calm, calculated, and clinical. Piastri handled pressure like he had been racing at the front for years. Behind him, Norris locked in second, giving McLaren their first 1-2 finish of the season. For once, strategy worked. The pit wall made the right calls, tyre choices were spot on, and the pace of the car was undeniable. It was more than just a win, it was a statement. McLaren was not out of this title fight yet. Then came Zandvoort. Norris was fired up and laser focused. He nailed qualifying, got a perfect launch, and never looked back. This time, he left nothing to chance. No mistakes, no strategy chaos, just pure speed and control. He led from the front and brought it home with style. It was a dominant performance that reminded everyone exactly how dangerous Norris can be when the pieces fall into place. 2 races, 2 incredible results, McLaren looked like title contenders again. The fire was back, the momentum was shifting. But just when the tide seemed to turn, the chaos returned. McLaren's mid-season fire gave fans hope, but as the calendar ticked into the final stretch, the same old cracks started to show. Mistakes returned, discipline slipped, and the team that looked unstoppable finally felt shaky again. Austin was a golden opportunity. Norris was on the hunt, driving with confidence and fighting hard for the podium. But once again, small errors turned into big problems. He was hit with a time penalty for exceeding track limits. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. By the end of the race, it cost him dearly. What should have been a solid top 3 finish slipped right through his fingers. This was not about strategy or reliability, this was about discipline. Staying within the white lines sounds simple, but when you are pushing every corner to the limit, mistakes add up fast. Norris had the pace, but the lack of precision came back to haunt him. In Mexico, Norris bounced back with a strong second place finish. On paper, it looked like a win, but the real drama played out with Max Verstappen. The two were locked in a heated on-track battle, and Verstappen picked up multiple penalties for aggressive moves involving Norris. The tension between them was clear. This was no longer just a championship fight, it was personal. Still, despite all the drama, McLaren could not convert these moments into a proper momentum shift. They were still fast, still capable, but the inconsistency was back. And in Formula 1, inconsistency is what kills title dreams. Then came Brazil, and with it, one of the most deflating moments of McLaren's season. Norris had taken pole, the car looked unbeatable, everything was finally in place. But when the lights went out, so did his chances. A slow start, shaky race pace, and missed opportunities let the win slip right through his fingers. And while Norris faded, Verstappen rose. Starting from the midfield after a grid penalty, he carved right through the pack and took the win like it was business as usual. It was more than just a lost race, it was symbolic. Norris had every advantage and Verstappen still came out on top. For McLaren, it was a gut punch. For the championship, it was the moment the door finally slammed shut. The 2024 season had everything: speed, drama, redemption arcs, and heartbreak. McLaren walked away with the Constructors' Championship, a massive achievement and proof that they had built one of the best cars on the grid, but the ultimate prize slipped through their fingers. Lando Norris finished the season as the runner-up, 62 points behind Max Verstappen, and when you look back at the calendar, it becomes painfully clear why. There were races where Norris should have won, but didn't. Races where the strategy team fumbled. Races where penalties and errors turned easy points into missed opportunities. McLaren had the performance to go all the way, but what they lacked was execution. They gave away wins. They handed Verstappen momentum, and in a sport where margins are razor thin, those mistakes became the difference between champion and runner-up. Norris did not shy away from the truth. After the season ended, he admitted that there were moments he could have done better. Smarter decisions, fewer risks, more composure. He knows what it takes to beat Verstappen now. He knows how close he came, and more importantly, he knows how much it hurt to lose what could have been his first title. For McLaren, the message is clear. The pieces are all there: the car, the drivers, the pace. What they need now is consistency, calm under pressure, and the kind of sharp execution that turns potential into trophies. Because if they can fix that, 2025 might just be the year Lando Norris finishes what he started. McLaren's 2024 was painful, but it wasn't the worst. One team had a meltdown so big they still haven't recovered. Another one sabotaged their own drivers week by week. Who are they? What went wrong? Trust me, you want to see this. Click the video right here and watch the chaos unfold.